Hi, this is Kurt Verone, and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Vlog. With me today, and we're in Westminster, Colorado, still at our FLSA conference. We're halfway through. We're in day 2 at lunchtime. And I've got my fellow instructor, Brian Massatt, and we've got a question for you, Brian, that came up in class today. And it's one I've been asked, but I think it's an interesting one, but it has to do with firefighter substitutions. And the question is, if firefighter A is subbing for firefighter B, and so he's working a 24-hour shift for firefighter B, and at the very end of the shift they catch a fire, and now firefighter A works beyond the end of firefighter B's shift, who's entitled to the overtime?
Well, that's a good question, Kurt. You know, it never ceases to amaze me how we can come up with little things. Leave it to firefighters, right? You know? The FLSA requires employers to pay overtime when it's worked. The FLSA carves out a provision that says that during a substitution, a firefighter can substitute for another firefighter, and for FLSA purposes, you treat it as though they each work their own normal shift. In this case, the question, though, is not the normal shift. It's a question about the time after a normal shift when one firefighter is going to a call and the other one is not. And the FLSA doesn't clearly spell it out. It's one of those things where you know, you could pay the one thing we do know is the department has to pay somebody time and a half for that. They have to count the hours towards somebody, but to whom it goes, it doesn't specify. And I think in times like this, it's a wise choice for a fire department to have, either in a CBA or in some sort of policy for substitutions, clearly spell out who's going to get that kind of money, you know, if something like that happens. And if it does end up going in a lawsuit in front of a judge, I think having it clearly spelled out before the parties agree to substitute is going to go a long way to resolving that.
Okay, and for those who don't know Brian's a trial attorney in the Chicago area. He's a retired firefighter, so he's one of us, and he's probably the most knowledgeable person I know about the FLSA for firefighters. We use him as a resource. He's an incredible asset to us here in the class and even outside of the class. So, you know, certainly Brian's got a very busy and active practice in the Chicago area, and we really value his perspective in this. And that's going to wrap it up. We've got to get back in and get started for the afternoon session here in Westminster.
Thanks, Kurt.